Hello, I am Minecraft Phenom 08 and welcome to the 43rd episode of my second 1 billion iron ingot challenge. In today's episode, I plan to build a fusion reactor using the combination of hydrogen for its fuel. Now, for the fusion reactor, there are several things I will need. First off, I will need the fusion core. I will need a lot of these fusion connectors, and I plan to make a toroid-sized 6 reactor, which I believe means I need 5 fusion connectors on either side of the fusion core. For example, to make a toroid sized 1 reactor, I would need no fusion connectors, and the electromagnet would be directly around the fusion core. But for size 2, I would need 1 on each side, each of the 4 sides, and then for the size 3, I would need 2 on each side, and so on and so forth. So let's grab some more of these fusion connectors. And then I'm not exactly sure how many fusion electromagnets I'm going to need, but it's going to be a lot. So I'm just going to punch in 1,000. That shouldn't be too difficult for my system to make. And I completely take that back. Okay, so let's try 600. Hopefully that can pump those out somewhat quickly. And there is one more thing I need to do. I need to grab a bunch of flux duct here. And that is because I need to run an output line from my capacitor to where I'm gonna have my new base, I guess, or my fusion base. So I have a new area. It is down here. This is where I'm gonna have my fusion reactors, or reactors. I'm not sure if I'm gonna build more. I probably will. But anyways, I have a tunnel dug out, and it comes out over here. Currently, I have, let's get facing the right direction here. I have a cryo-stabilized flux duct, but this is for input only. I do need a flux duct that goes over there to output power to that location, and that's because A, the fusion core needs a kick of power to get started, and B, the electromagnets actually need power to function. So I need to get power over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a wrench, I'm going to grab a bunch of flux duct, and I'm going to set this to output. We are going to just run this parallel to this line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and build all of this off camera. It's just going to be a parallel cryo flux duct line to the one I already have. And once I'm over there and I have this flux duct line built, I will be back. So here is the building that is going to house my fusion reactor. It is a rather large building. And right here we have the street, and under the street here we have our flux ducts, and we have the dense covered cable. This is the flux duct that will carry energy to my main capacitor, to my main base, and this is the flux duct that carries energy to this base from my capacitor over there. So let's get started on building. First off, let's lay down the fusion reactor where it will be, and the fusion reactor will simply just go in the middle right here. And actually what I want to do is let's dig out some area around it. The fusion reactor is rather large. I believe it is 3 by 3 by 3. So it will be centered right there. So we will need to access the underside in several ways here. I will have 2 capacitors going into it, or not 2 capacitors, but 2 flux duct going in. One will carry energy to the fusion core, which will basically be to preheat it, and the other will be to take energy out of the fusion core and to take it back to my main base. So I think what I want to do now is I want to build a couple of capacitors. Actually, I think I want to build 3 capacitors. One of the capacitors is going to power the electromagnets, which will be placed around the fusion reactor. One of the capacitors will be used as a kickstart capacitor to feed energy into the fusion core, but only at certain times. I'm probably going to hook up a lever to that, and then a third capacitor will be to carry the energy from the fusion reactor. It will kind of be an intermediary capacitor between the fusion reactor and my main capacitor. So let's get started. I think what I'm going to do is my primary capacitor is going to be along this wall, the capacitor that is taking energy from the fusion reactor and will be sending it to my main base. So this is going to be a large capacitor, and I think I'm just going to build it along the back wall here. So let's kick out a few of these torches, and let's get building. So let's start out with something like this size, and let me grab a wand just to make this a little bit easier. And let me change the mode here. There we go. And I do need to use shift here because it is a tile entity and it has a GUI, so. Okay, so I think, let's see what the max is here. To be honest, I will probably be able to make more power than this. So let's go ahead and build this out just one more. And I will probably need more capacitors, but that's okay. I have plenty. And let's get rid of that. So I think what I want to do is I want to have this display some information here. So I want to have how full the capacitor is over here, as well as over here. And I keep doing that. Sometimes I'm really good about not over-clicking, other times I'm just terrible at it. Okay, so in the middle here, we're just going to have the I/O. And I'm actually going to make this into one big face. But for right now, it's going to be two faces. There we go. One more. Okay, there we go. So this will just display the information of how much, essentially, energy I'm making from my fusion reactor. So I think how I'm going to route this is, let me grab some flux duct and, you know what, let's actually change this so that we can input from up here. So I think what we're gonna do is just run it like this, and then, yeah, just like this. And that should work pretty well. So one more thing I would like to do is put a cover rate here to make this look better. And then boom, cool. So the next thing I want to do is I want to grab more capacitors, and I want to make 2 capacitors along this back wall. So these capacitors won't be as large because they won't be handling nearly as much energy. So let's set this up, and let's actually do this. So that should be big enough. And I don't know which capacitor I'm going to have do which thing, because like I said, these 2 capacitors, one will be for the kickstarting of the reactor itself, and then the other will be to power the electromagnets. And I actually like having that there, so we're going to keep that there. And then I also want to have this disabled. There we go. And then over here, let's do the I/O. That's not where I want it. Let's do something like this. I think that's plenty big. You know what? I think it'll look better if I just do it like that. Yeah, sure. And then this one I'm actually... Let's do the I/O on this side, and then the meter over here. I am really terrible at this right now. Okay, there. So I think let's go ahead and make this one the kickstart capacitor. So let me grab a lever. And I only need one. I don't know why I made 2. We'll do this. We will tell this to only activate on signal. And this can be... let's have this output here. And let's also have this one output here. And just so I can actually see what I'm doing with my cabling, I'm not actually going to run this like into the floor. I'm going to run it like I did this one. Let's run it into the reactor right here. And while I'm thinking about it, let's do the cover right here as well. So cover, boom. And I did do that output, correct? Yes. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is I actually need to get power into these capacitors here. That won't be too hard. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just have these be inputs. right here and right here. So I am going to need more flux duct though. So let's grab some more flux duct. And let's put covers right here. And we can just simply run this just across the room. And then let's kick a hole in the wall right here. I am not doing so well with this. Okay, so yeah, that's cool. And then we'll do the same thing over here. Actually, I think it'll be easier if I do this. Much easier. Okay, so let's punch a hole in the wall. And you know what, let's just oh shoot, I totally forgot. This is built just a little bit differently. I can't punch a hole in the wall over there, but I should be able to do it right here. That's cool. And actually, this capacitor is already receiving energy. That's fantastic. This one is not quite. Let's go ahead and put a cover right here. And then once we hook this up, it should start receiving energy straight away. So that should be good. Cool. So as we can see, they are both receiving energy. This one is, in fact, almost full by now. So yeah, everything, or the energy so far, is for the most part routed. We don't have our electromagnet, so I'm not going to run that quite yet. One more thing. Oh yeah, one more thing. I need to go back to my main base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop on my teleporter. I'm going to teleport back to my main base. And I need to make a few more things back there. So I will be back when I'm over at my main base. Okay, so I'm back at my main base here, and I need to make a fluid export bus and a fluid import bus. So let's just type in bus here, and the ME fluid export bus is actually almost exactly identical to the regular export bus. I think the lapis is the primary difference. Actually, let's double check this. Yeah, it literally just adds lapis to the recipe. And then I'm guessing the fluid import bus is exactly the same way, and it just adds lapis. So that's cool. Let's grab that. And let's go ahead and store these in the system. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab 2 of the fluid export buses, and I'm going to grab 1 of the import bus, because the reactor does make byproducts dependent upon what fuels you use. And let's also grab some cards to speed this up. And I believe, and we can look this up, if we go to the fusion core, and we right click on it, we can look at the recipes and we can actually get the outputs. So for this episode, I'm going to use hydrogen and hydrogen as my fuels. So my only output is actually going to be deuterium, which is actually really nice because that is a nice fusion fuel in and of itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teleport over to my fusion base again, and once I'm there, I will be right back. Okay, so here I am in my basement here, and what I'm going to do is, first off, I need to alter a few things here. I do want to prevent input overflow, and I don't actually need to do this for this particular reactor because I am literally exporting hydrogen and hydrogen into the reactor, but in the future I might use 2 different fuels, and what this button doesn't allow the reactor to do is, with 1 input, it does not allow it to fill both tanks. It has 2 input tanks and it has 4 output tanks. If I hook up 1 export bus and tell it to export hydrogen, it will fill up 1 of the tanks with hydrogen, but it will not fill up both of the tanks. If I have this at this setting, what will happen if I have 1 export bus with hydrogen is it will fill the first tank and then it will proceed to fill the second tank. I do not want that to happen for most of my reactors. I could totally allow that for this reactor, but just for the sake of having all the reactors set up the same, I'm going to have it on this setting here. And let's see here, what else? Void leftover fluid, I do not want to do that. So, and I don't want to void output fluid. Wait. Okay, so yeah, I just, and I don't need to worry about this for right now. Yeah, yeah, so let's get started. Let's go ahead and hook up the buses. So this will be export, and this will be import. And actually, I'm going to move that bus real fast. I'm going to move this to be right here, and that's so I can conk out that, and I can just have these hooked up pretty simply like this. And this won't be the prettiest thing in the world, but I won't be down here much, so I don't even care. So let's hook this up. Let's see here. What would be the best way? I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pop this out, and I'm going to grab some of this ME conduit here, and I'm going to run it through the floor. So let's get this and just dig this out. And do something like this. I know somewhere I have my ME conduit out there. So let's do that. And let's actually run it around because I don't have any elevator. I can't like paint my elevator blocks. So we can just hook it up like this. And that should work fine. I also need to grab some facades, and I need to kill this zombie. Okay, so let's use these facades and make this look pretty again. And let's see if this reactor is... Okay, so the buses aren't hooked up quite yet, but since I'm so far away from my main base, it does take a little bit longer for the buses and stuff to connect up to the main system. So I'm not worried about it. If it isn't connected in a couple more minutes, then I will start to worry about it. But for right now, not worried about it. Let's place down the torches again. And let's actually start to build this reactor. So, like I said, I want to do a toroid size 6. So I think I need to use 5 of these fusion connectors on each side of this reactor. So let's put those down. The next step will be to build the electromagnets. Basically what I have to do is build a structure like this, except we don't need the center block. It is an open area right there. And then let's actually build this on each side, and then I'm going to use a wand to build this thing out. And I hope at this point I have enough electromagnets made up. If I don't, I will have to wait on those to finish crafting. I really think I'll be, if I don't have enough by now, I should be really close. Okay, so let's whip out the wand. Let's also place that there, and we need to change the mode, that way we can build it like that. Fantastic. Okay, so I still don't have quite the right mode. That might be the right mode. Okay, and so the corners here I'll have to do kind of manually because we need to close it up like that, but that's fine. And having a builder's wand is really nice to work on certain things like this. Okay. About halfway through. And I'm pretty sure at this point I do have enough of these things. Oh yeah, definitely have enough. So that is good to know. Okay, let's see if it recognizes that I have the electromagnet completely built. Ring incomplete, it says. Okay, so I'm missing something, or I screwed something up somewhere. Okay, so let's check the corners, because that's if I made a mistake, it's probably in one of the corners. Let's check the inside corners. Everything looks good there. Let's try this. Sometimes things are a little bit finicky. Reactor incomplete. Let me make sure I have all my sides the same. Okay, so I'm not seeing what exactly is the problem here. You know what? Because I'm using a wand, I wonder if I didn't accidentally place some blocks in the interior of the ring somewhere. Okay, so nothing looks weird there. Everything looks good here. Interesting. I don't see anything that says I messed up right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place these back, and if there's still a problem, I'm going to have to troubleshoot this off camera because I'm not quite sure what's going on. I don't see anything that I did wrong. Everything looks built fine. So that's interesting. I don't see anything wrong. Okay, so I'm going to have to troubleshoot this off camera because I'm not sure what exactly is going on. So once I figure out what exactly is not working, I will be back and hopefully I can explain it. So yeah, I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so I figured out something that worked. What I did was I unchunk loaded this area here, I hopped out of the game, and then I hopped back in. Essentially, I just unloaded the chunks and then reloaded the chunks. And everything seems to be working fine. It now says instead of ring not complete, it says electromagnets not powered, which is correct. The electromagnets are not powered, so that's fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I need to re-chunk load all of this, and I also... oh yeah, my applied energistic system isn't quite back up and running over here just yet, but I do need to do a few things with my buses once that hooks back up. So first off, I need to throw in some acceleration cards into these buses, and then the next thing is actually I need to tell the buses to export the correct thing, and that would be hydrogen. So let's see here, export bus hydrogen, and this reactor should start getting some hydrogen. Yeah, there we go. So I do want to prevent input overflow there. Okay, so that's weird. So maybe it doesn't want to function quite. Okay, so I might actually need to leave this at this setting, but that's okay. So yeah, the reactor itself is about ready to go. I still need to power the electromagnets, and I need to run them off of this capacitor right here. So let's do a little tearing up of this. Let's grab some cryo-stabilized flex ducts and some covers. So I do want to have this look pretty. So let's do this, and then we can use covers on the top side here. And I think I'm going to run my flex ducts underneath like this. Let's go down here real fast and put some covers on this. So I just need to run this cryo-stabilized flex duct around the outside like this. And then I will need to run a ring in the middle as well. Or on top, I mean, not in the middle. In the middle. What do I even mean by in the middle? Okay, so let's grab the crescent hammer, because I feel like that won't be the last mistake or the last bad flex duct I place. Okay, so that is a complete ring. So that's the bottom and the outside electromagnets are powered. Now I will need to power the inside and the top electromagnets, and we'll do that with some flex duct like this. And And there we go. So then we need to hook this flux duct up to this flux duct down here. And I think let's actually use the sides rather than the front and back. So let's do something like this. And then we'll also need to hit this, the corner ones. Okay, so actually, you know what? Now that I've done this, I want to change it. Because I totally forgot. I just need to do one loop here. So let's do it right here. There we go. And I do need to hit the corners, so let's do that from the side like that. And then we'll be about good to go. So let's see here. Wait on that to turn green. That's green. The electromagnet should be powered. The reactor is ready to go. So let's go ahead and kick it. So as we see, it's not doing anything. It needs its kickstart. So let's run down here and let's flip the lever. And this should start pumping out massive amounts of power to the reactor, and it should heat up quite quickly. Once it gets to 8,000 kilokelvin, it should actually start running. And then I can flip that lever to the off position. So yeah, it's heating up quite quickly. I will need to do something about the heat, but once the reactor gets started, I can worry about that then. So for right now, let's just wait until it gets up to 8,000. I'm really liking this. This is going to be a nice setup. Anyways, getting close. This fuel mix will make a decent amount of power. It won't be anything earth-shattering. Once this gets going, I will look at some of the other fuel combinations I might use in the future that will definitely be better than the current fuel combination. But here we go. So it's not producing any power right now. It is producing a lot of noise. And I might be able to configure that. So let's turn this off because we don't need it anymore. So my electromagnets are using, yeah, quite a bit of power. I don't know what the average would be. Maybe 50,000 RF per tick. But yeah, that's a decent amount of power. And right now, I don't think I'm producing much of anything for power. Yeah, nothing so far. It will take a little while. So for whatever reason... Okay, so I might actually need to redo the way I'm doing my outputs. And I think I am, because right now it's only taking out... Okay, so, okay, it caught up. For a little while there, it was only importing what was in the first tank here, but it looks like it caught up. So yeah, we're starting to produce a little bit of power. Obviously, the efficiency right now is at 0%. But as it heats up, the efficiency will go up, and as we see, the energy production is rising. So one more thing I would like to do, and I need to go back to my main base to build a few things. Oh shoot, I never hooked this up. So one more thing I do need to do, I need to hook this capacitor up to my main line outside. So let's see here. Let's just punch a hole in the wall, whatever. And then we can just simply do something like this. And let's tell this to be output. Oh, I need to get it to this line, not this line. Okay, okay, we can still do this. And actually, I don't want to do it there. Because I don't think I can set a door on a cover. Okay, so let's have this be the output. This can be nothing. So right here, I need to set up... I actually need my hammer. I need this to not be connected. And then I also need this to not be connected. And then we're just going to hook up right here. So let's grab some covers, make this look nice. Oh shoot, I did that on the wrong face. I need it to be on the bottom face of that, like that. Cool. So let's get rid of this real fast. Let's put that down, and then we can redo that. So that's connected up now to the correct line. Let's make that look nice, and then do one right there, and then that should be good to go. Okay, let's make sure I actually got everything. Yeah, that looks fine. And it should now be outputting. Let's see, here it is. And as we see, the energy production has grown a decent amount. Let's see here. Let's make sure all the tanks are emptying. All the tanks are filling. Cool. So let's cover that up best we can. And then one more thing I need to do, and I need to run back to my main base to do this. I need to do some active cooling here. So if I were to just leave this reactor on, it would eventually heat up too far, and then it would start to melt down, or the electromagnets would melt down, I think. To be honest, I don't know if I've ever melted down a fusion reactor. But anyways, what I need to do is I need to make some active cooling blocks, and let's actually look at what that entails real fast. Okay, so I need... Okay, how does this... Okay, yes. Okay, so we're going to be using the active fluid cooler, and I will need to pump coolant into it. I could use water, but I will probably end up using water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run back to my main base real fast, and I'm going to make some stuff that I need. So once I'm back to my main base, I will be right back. Okay, so I'm back at my main base, and what I need to build is some of these active fluid coolers. They actually look like they are quite easy to build. Cauldron, copper, tin, and basic plating. So that should not be a problem at all. So let's throw this in here, and then let's make a bunch of these. I'm not sure exactly how many of these I'm going to need. So for right now, I'm going to tell my system to make... Actually, let's just do around 100. The graphite will take just a little while to make. It shouldn't be too bad. And then I will need some water source blocks as well. So let's grab... I honestly shouldn't need anything too overbearing. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and make the compact infinite water source blocks rather than the dense variety. So since I'm making 100 of those, let's make 50 of these. I already have, what, 3? So let's go with 47. And it always takes a little while to calculate when I'm making these. And this will actually take a little bit longer still. So yeah, let's get that going. And okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to do two things. I'm going to wait on those things to craft, and I'm going to run back to my fusion base. So once everything is done and I'm over there, I will be right back. Okay, so I think I'm finally ready to go with the coolers, and the first thing I actually want to do is I want to go to mod options here because I want to turn off the sounds of the nuclear reactor. I actually think they sound somewhat... I actually like the sounds, but they're a little overbearing. So if we go to fusion configs here, and if we go to enable fusion sound, click that to false, hit done, done, back to game. The fusion sound should shut off, so maybe you can hear my voice just a little bit better. Okay, so I was playing around with the coolers here, and right now if we click on the reactor, it shows that the temperature is going up by 34,400 and something Kelvin per tick. If we actually go ahead and throw some cooling on this, it actually shows the cooling. So if we click down some active coolers with water here, and we make sure the tanks are full by looking up at the top of the screen. If we go back over here, we see that we do have some cooling now. So active cooling rate is now 66 Kelvin per tick. If you want to make a perfectly balanced reactor, the active cooling rate needs to be exactly 5,000 Kelvin per tick. So I've been playing around, and obviously if I were to use water cooling for the entire reactor, it would take a lot of cooling power to get up to the 5,000. Because currently I'm using 2 coolers and I'm only getting 33 per cooler. So 66, that's just not going to cut it. But I can use this as kind of an augment to what I'm actually going to do. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use emeralds. And if we look at the active cooler here and we shift click on it, we can pump other coolant into this as well as water. So I was playing around off camera with a few things, and I think I'm going to go with emeralds. And so what I'm going to do is right here, I need to... Okay, so I'm not going to actually be able to put it right there apparently. I should be able to put it... Let's try right here. So I will need an export bus on the bottom of this. My magma crucible will go right here. It will melt down emeralds, and it will send the melted emeralds to coolers on either side. And we can actually see this in action if I plop that down. And let me grab some emeralds. Okay, so it's over here. Let's throw in half of them for right now, and then let's also grab an export bus, because I will need that. I probably don't need any cards, but I'm going to go ahead and grab those anyways. And then some covered cable. And let's do orange. And then some conduit as well. I don't need very much of that, I don't think, so let's grab some facades as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this export bus up to export emeralds. Let's throw those in there, and then we just need to hook this up to the applied energistic system, which should be right there. So we just need one right here. Fantastic. Then I can facade that up. And that should pump in emeralds to the magma crucible. The magma crucible is being powered by an RTG. And if we look at the active cooling right now, we should see 4866. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up to the 5,000 using water. So let's just go ahead and start setting down what I need for that. So there's 66 more. Let's go ahead and do right here. So we should be just about there, 4966. Okay, so 5,000. Okay, so it's somewhere it's rounding, because this should be 66, this should be 66, that should be 66. So that should actually be... I think what it's doing is each one is actually doing 33 and a third. And it is rounding to the 5,000. Because by my math, it should be something like, what, 66 plus 66? I think it should be like 198 or 199. 198. It should be 198, but it is up to the 5,000, so it is actually... it was giving me rounded figures, so that's cool. So I'm at exactly 5,000. That's exactly where I want to be. So that's fantastic. So when this thing gets up to its full temperature, it should now be at maximum efficiency. As we see right now, it is at 45% efficiency. It is making 119,000 RF per tick, and that is still pretty rapidly increasing. So that's nice to see. And I am getting a surplus at this point because, as we see, I'm using, dependent upon when you actually look at this, I would say about 50,000 RF per tick would be average. And we're making about 120,000 RF per tick right now, which is fantastic. So I think this is a good wrapping up point for the episode. So in today's episode, I set up this fusion reactor. It is a hydrogen reactor. It produces a decent amount of power. Not as much as, say, a deuterium or tritium reactor or even a deuterium reactor, but it still produces a pretty good amount of power. I will have to keep an eye on my hydrogen supply. I am making quite a bit of hydrogen over at my main base, but I will need to keep an eye on it to make sure I'm not going down in supply too fast. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. As of right now, let's see. I have 193 million iron ingots. I think I'm getting something like 14 or 15 million iron ingots per day, which is a pretty good rate. Obviously, I'm almost to 200 million iron ingots, so that's pretty exciting as well. So anyways, if you enjoyed today's episode, definitely give it a like. If you enjoy watching automation in modded Minecraft, definitely consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, because that's kind of what I do. Anyway, signing off, I am Minecraft Phenom 08, and I will see you next time.